us today. I'm Summer Surface. I'm the Assistant Director of CAP, and we are here with Mariteza Pigo, our guest blogger, who will be sharing on her blog, Student Engagement on Zoom, Synchronous Teaching. So this is the last webinar in our blog series on humanizing the online classroom. We will be recording this today, and it will be available within the blog itself. I'll send you all a link after, so you can go back and check it out and share it with your colleagues. I will also be sending you a follow-up survey as well in that email. So if you could fill that out for us, we would really appreciate it. And thank you for being here this afternoon, and I will hand it over to Maritez.
Thank you, Summer, and to CAP. It's always an honor to be here. My name is Mariteza Pigo, and I want to welcome everyone for joining this afternoon. I'm really excited to share with you my concrete ideas for student engagement on Zoom. You'll have some opportunities to experience it from the student's perspective and also to share your Zoom teaching ideas as well. My Twitter handle is here at the bottom. I would love to know who's here joining us today. So in a single chat entry, let's go ahead and meet and greet one another with our college department and one word for how you're feeling today. All right, well, welcome, Lucia and Sarah. Hello, hi, Christina, who's feeling inspired today, and Peter Bark is feeling great. Professor Ortega is super, oh my gosh, wonderful. And oh, but Lynn is unsure. And all right, okay, welcome also Joanne. Okay, so a little bit about me. I've been teaching for over 2 decades now in English and ESL. I started in middle schools and high schools, and then I transferred over to the community college system. I've been teaching online for 8 years now. I train faculty at the college, the district, and state levels, and I am an @ONE online course facilitator. I'm currently at Contra Costa College as the distance education coordinator, open educational resources coordinator, and an English professor. So today we're going to use some nonverbal reactions in Zoom. And if you click on your reactions, in addition to the emojis at the top and the raise hand button at the bottom, you should see some yes, no, slow down and go faster buttons. All right. So why don't we go ahead and try this out? So can you give me a yes or no reaction if you've already read my blog, Student Engagement on Zoom? All right. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 people have. Okay, that's fine. It's you did not have to read it before you came to the webinar. There are actually 4 blogs that are published now by CAP. And they're right here. And I'm going to ask Summer. Oh, she already did. She dropped the link in the chat for you. And you can access all 4 of them through that link. In the blog, I present a sample lesson plan consisting of these 4 pieces. And in our Zoom meeting today, I'm going to model the flow and some of the strategies for you. We already had our check-in. We are on number 2 right now. We'll move into some breakout rooms in a little bit and then and practice some of the closing techniques. Right, so before we go do that, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll. So you should be able to see it on your Zoom. And this poll is asking, which tools have you used in your Zoom sessions? So go ahead and mark all the ones that you have used before while teaching in Zoom. Few more seconds for the last two people to vote. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the poll results with you. And here we go. So we can see that most everyone is familiar with chat. 50% of us use reactions and 80% of us use breakout rooms. That's interesting. Only 10% are familiar with annotations, and we'll play around with that today too. And I see that only 10% are familiar with Google Jamboard, and we'll try that as well. 70% are using Google Docs or Slides. And then we have 40% using Padlet, 20% using Kahoot. No one's using Socrative. We'll get to test that out today too. And then one person said some other tools not on this list. So can you share with us what other tool that is? If you indicated that you use another tool that's not on this list, you can put it on in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Oh, Mentimeter, yes, that is very similar to the Zoom polls, and it's also similar to Socrative and Poll Everywhere, if you're familiar with that too. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And just a note, if you want to use Zoom polling, you can make it anonymous or not. And in Zoom, they only allow two types of questions, a single choice answer or multiple choice answer. So if you want to do any other types of questions like short answer, for instance, Zoom polling won't allow you to do that. You need to use another type of tool. Michelle Pacansky-Brock is really notable for her work on humanizing online teaching and learning. She emphasizes the non-cognitive aspects of learning in order to foster trust and to form connections and develop relationships and community. Seretta Hammond, in her book, Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain, she writes that we should be going beyond having students regurgitate facts and concepts and doing rote memorization, and instead have students apply their knowledge in new and practical ways. That she wants us to be able to have our students think critically and creatively. So this is, there's a section that's in the blog that is on not just lectures. So in the 4 parts of the lesson plan, you'll see that you're doing more than just lecturing for the whole period. You're integrating all kinds of interactive activities and getting students unmuting themselves and talking and working together in breakout rooms. So I'll show you some of those today. All right. So can you give me a thumbs up reaction if you're already familiar with Bloom's taxonomy? Almost everyone. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So since you're familiar, why don't we drop in chat one of Bloom's verbs that represents higher order thinking? Oh, you guys are so good at this. Evaluate, analyze, synthesize, create. Perfect. So we're looking at the ones at the very top here, which you guys already indicated. So one note about video cameras is that this actually, when we require students to turn on their video cameras in Zoom, it's going against humanizing practices. We know that the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated basic needs insecurity among our students. We see even more students that are housing insecure and homeless due to the pandemic, and it would be a challenge for them to put their cameras on if they are homeless or if they are experiencing housing insecurity. So it also violates student privacy because the home is considered the most private place. So I encourage you to invite your students to turn their cameras on, but not to mandate it, right? And just to say that if they can't turn it on, that that you understand and it's okay. All right. So the next tool I want to share with you is annotation in Zoom. So here, let me make sure everyone is able to do this. So at the top of your Zoom, you should see a view options button. If you click on that, you will be able to select annotate, and this new toolbar will open up at the top. You can select one of those, and what I'll do is I'll stop sharing, and I'm going to share a whiteboard with you. So we just have a blank slate to work from right now. And I invite you to go ahead and play around here. You can grab either the draw tool or the text tool, a stamp. Yep, you can stamp. And there's also an eraser. There's an undo button if you want to remove what you did. And there's also a clear button, which you can clear your annotations. So this one is great for if you're doing math, you know, you can actually have students work out math. You could do graphing here, right? With equations, have students graph. You can also, if you're, you can do illustrations, and I'm not very good at illustrations. I can draw stick figures in order to explain your concepts to students, and you can invite them also to annotate as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear these annotations and switch over to a slide where I'm going to have you also continue annotating. So mark your favorite Zoom tool using your annotation tool of choice. So you can do a check mark, you can do a heart, you can do text and write your name next to something that you really like. Yes, Christina and Lucia like breakout rooms, and Lynn likes chat. Great, and you can also make these anonymous if you want. So I don't have it as anonymous. That's how I know who's marking what. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and clear these annotations, and we'll move on to the next one. So this is a template of my 4 corners slide, and I do have this linked in the blog if you'd like to use it. And so for this one, I'm going to ask everyone to mark this with a check mark. So go to the stamp option and then click the check mark. And then I want you to put your check mark based on how you feel with the statements I'm going to tell you. So the first one is, in video conferencing, people are easily distracted. You agree, disagree, strongly disagree? Yes, most of us agree. Some of us strongly agree. It's true, because reports indicate that many people send emails, they're checking social media, even eating or going to the bathroom when they're in video conferences. All right, I'm going to clear these and ask the next one. Engagement drops after 20 minutes of watching a video. Okay, so most of us agree and strongly agree as well. Actually, research indicates that it's more like 10 minutes. That's when engagement starts to drop. So it's really important to make sure we're integrating some interaction and avoiding lecturing for longer than 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to clear these. And the next one is, we should provide laptops and high-speed internet to students in need. Okay, lots of us. Yes, we all strongly agree with that. Absolutely. Very important. Otherwise, learning in Zoom would be very, very challenging if we didn't, right? All right, so let's clear that. And then the next one is, it's better to make Zoom class meetings optional for those who can't attend. Okay, so we have a couple of people, 3 people disagree, and then almost everyone else agrees and strongly agrees. Yeah, passively viewing video recordings can be disengaging, especially if it's an hour, 2 hours long, right? And it's not equivalent to being present and actively and participating in real time, like we are now, right? If the goal of synchronous sessions is to really create those interactive learning experiences, then it just can't be experienced through watching a recording, right? So also note that when you're in breakout rooms, those are not captured in Zoom recordings. So students wouldn't be part of any of those conversations. And we'll just need to make sure that if we do make our Zoom meetings optional, that we are providing alternative ways for students to access that content. All right, so I'm going to clear this. All right. So we're in breakout rooms. They work really well, especially if you have a deliverable. If you have your students working together on something or have something to submit or show at the end of the time. You also have the ability to create rooms in advance if you want. So in this image here, I've created some rooms: thesis, introduction, citations, MLA, and conclusion. And what I'll do is, in that meeting, my students can self-select which room they want to go to, and then they can work together with students who also selected that room. You can ask your students to take on a role in order to help facilitate the breakout rooms better. So you can have someone be the screen sharer, you can have someone be a recorder, and someone be a reporter for when you return to the main room. And when students are in breakout rooms, you can show them the Ask for Help button, which is at the bottom toolbar. And there the instructor will get a notification that a room needs help, and then you can join their room. So in our breakout room, we are going to be working on a Jamboard and answering this question: how do you engage students on Zoom? So in the chat, Summer has placed the link to the Jamboard. So you head on over there, you'll see that there are 4 frames at the top, So here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and these represent the 4 parts of the lesson plan, and you can advance by clicking on the arrow to get to the next frame. So the first one will be looking at how we engage students in check-ins in Zoom. And then the next one is how do you engage students during direct instruction on Zoom? How do you engage students in breakout rooms on Zoom? And then how do you close your Zoom class meetings? There's a couple ways you can add your ideas here. So one is to grab the sticky note, which is the 4th one down, and then you can type in your idea and it will appear onto the Jamboard. You can move it, you can resize it. And another option is to grab the text box and then you can type in some text. Okay, this one also, you can also move these and resize these as well. If you need to change the color of your text, you can click on this A here, and I'm grabbing white for contrast. All right, so I'm going to take these out and let me stop sharing right now. And I'm going to see if there's any questions about what we're doing in the breakout rooms. None. Okay, so let me go ahead and create the rooms and we'll have 15 minutes to work together, adding our ideas to the Jamboard. Choose someone in your room to be the reporter so that that person can report out when we come back together in the main room. And I'm going to allow screen sharing for all participants. So when you get there, if you'd like to screen share, then you have that option as well. All right. Okay, so I will see you all in 15 minutes. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for participating in the breakout rooms. I hope everyone remembered to choose a reporter. If you didn't, you can pick one right now. There was only 3 rooms, so we'll go in order from room 1, 2, and 3. I really enjoyed popping into the rooms. There was some robust discussion happening in the rooms. And I also see that a lot of your ideas were documented on the Jamboard. So let's go ahead and hear from our reporters. And so we'll begin with room 1.
Okay, I got voluntold.
All right.
That works. Yeah, good discussion. We talked about even thinking about some of these things that what do we want to carry forward from this time? And one of the things we did say, this whole use of collaborative docs, collaborative notebooks, Google Slides, just things where we can really build that collaborative store of knowledge from the whole learning community, and they can go back to it. When you embed it in Canvas, then it's this resource that they can dip back into at any or all times. So that was something we said actually we want to even carry forward. Like I used to always try to do that, but it was harder. Now it's like, oh, right. Now it's actually really possible to have these shared spaces of knowledge. And then Summer had some beautiful check-in ideas that beyond just the like, how are you feeling? Because like everyone, we get tired of the same thing. So just changing that up a little bit. She had the animal, like cat, I think that came from your blog, or just like different scales. How are you feeling? Different ways to get people. We also, a last thing was, we talked about when students go into breakout rooms, giving them protocols, not just saying, go talk about that thing, right? Which can be super awkward, or they might not know how to talk. So giving them like structure, protocols, timing, those can be helpful. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Those were some fantastic ideas. And I hope all of that was captured on the Jamboard. So if everyone can still go back to it. Okay, great. Let's go to room number 2. Who's our reporter for that one? So room 2 was AJ, Christina, Daria, and Lynn.
Do you want to talk, AJ?
I will. Okay, so we talked about, well, I just remember that we talked about whether the Jamboard was universally accessible to screen readers and all those, and Meritez says yes, and that's good. I like that. And then I was just learning a lot about how to use breakout rooms. I've only been in them, but I haven't created them. So I need to play around with that, but I learned a lot about that. And then we talked also about how students can have self-select their rooms, and they can move from room to room. And I didn't know that either. But Christina, what have I missed from our group discussion? And then Lynn, and then Daria too.
I also thought it was interesting that we had a mix of people who teach synchronously and asynchronously, because AJ, you were saying that you teach asynchronously, and I think Lynn was saying she does both, and Daria said she does both, and I'm doing synchronous. So it was a nice, mix of both synchronous and asynchronous teaching.
Great. And then Lynn also shared one idea of, do you want to talk about that, Lynn? Oh, you're on mute.
Which?
Oh, the office hours one. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, a colleague of mine, she has different classes that come to her office hours, and that's what she uses breakout rooms for stats or calculus or, whatever class she has. I mean, I'm just in awe because it's my officers, even though I beg them, they don't really come and use them. I also remind them of the Math Learning Center, but I don't know. That's why I'm here. Calculus, they're pretty interactive just during the course of the class, but it's the beginning statistics class. I'm losing a battle. So that's what I need to do. So this will help Padlets and
Great. Okay, thanks, Lynn. Let's go ahead and go to room 3. And that was Jane, Lucia, and Peter Bark. Don't be shy.
I feel like I dominate conversation, so I'm trying to step back.
No, go ahead. Lucia was our note keeper.
So I guess I can report out. So which question am I answering?
Oh, just share with us a couple of highlights from your breakout room, what you discussed.
Let me go back onto the Padlet. We were writing onto the Padlet as everything was happening, as we were talking about it. Just to start with the first one, the check-ins, just asking them to log into the software, making sure that they're actually on, so able to work with the class. Jane, I'm forgetting some of the things we talked about.
What I remember is that you said in the breakout rooms, you nominate the note keepers, the timekeeper, and something
facilitator and a spokesperson.
And I thought that was very interesting to assign the roles in the breakout room.
Yeah, that just kind of makes sure that they each feel like they have some investment in what they're doing, and then I have them choose it, so they have to talk to each other. This is not something I invented. This is something I was taught. But it really helps them to stay on point.
Yes, it does, because I don't know how often you've popped into a breakout room and
all quiet.
Everyone's muted. but if you do, it helps if you assign the roles, because they go into the breakout room and they're like, okay, I have a job here, you know. So it helps with accountability.
I started assigning points for working in the breakout room. I break points for the lab, went to the lab, and I share my Google file. Students copy from my Google file to their Google file, and they can share their screen. They can work on they can share the same Google file in the breakout room. And at first I noticed that a lot of groups were quiet. They did not share their screen. They said, oh, we're chatting, we're communicating in the chat. So I started to assign a half a point for submitting the lab work and a half a point for participating in the group. So I go from group to group and see how the group is participating. And now that they know that they have a grade for participating in the group, they are more actively participating.
And also Leonid did the same thing. So that was interesting. I think that would help alleviate some of that quietness.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So I want to invite you to keep thinking about how you're going to design your lesson plans on Zoom, applying humanizing practices and that foster that connection and that community, and also the equity-minded and culturally responsive teaching pedagogy that really supports critical thinking and creative thinking. Are there any questions right now? I'm happy to answer any. If you do have one, you can unmute or you can drop it into the chat.
Can I ask Summer a question? So Summer, I think you said that you have your students respond by posting GIFs and images. I'm such a Luddite. Is there like a repository that they draw from, or do they just know where to go to find these GIFs and images?
That was something Maritez had shared in the blog. The thing I do is I share like sorry, people are walking in my house and the dog barking. Gussie, sorry. I do like animal scale memes. So like kind of similar to the one, I shared one with my group. I'll share one really quick. And I just search like animal mood scale or like something like that to find them. Here, let's see. So I'll use like something like that. And then I tell them to put in the chat the number that represents how they're feeling today. And this work, last semester, I would just say like, drop a word that shares how you're doing today, and they would do it. And then this semester I tried that, and like one person wrote good. It was just like not working. And so I had seen on Twitter a teacher recommend using these, and there's a bunch. I mean, I gotta share one more that I shared this with my group too. This was the one I used today. Let's see. The Dr. Fauci mood scale. So I don't know if you guys, let me make it bigger so you can say how you're feeling on the Fauci mood scale. So there's a ton, there's different animal ones, and I've been able to find a new one every day, and they think it's fun, I think. So
yeah. So Christina, I'm dropping in the chat a link to where students can grab GIFs, but they can also just use Google and just type in like whatever it is they want to look up, and then GIF, and then it'll show all kinds of GIFs. They could pick one to share. And in the blog, there is a template that is linked in the blog where they can add their GIFs onto a Google slide. So you can kind of see how the whole class is doing. And you can have them, put their names on there, or you can already have their names in there so they know where to put their GIF. So All right, so before we go, I would like to do a quick exit ticket, which is what I typically would do with my students. And I love to use Socrative for this. In order to do this, you would need to go to Socrative.com, and let me just drop the link in the chat right now. And, actually, let me just drop the direct link. There you go. And then my room is my last name, Apigo. So let me go ahead and share screen so you can get the spelling. Okay, so just put in my last name, A-P-I-G-O, as the room. And then I'm going to go ahead and launch the exit ticket. Is it working? Oh, cool. Perfect. So there should just be 3 quick questions there. And then after you do that, you can go ahead and submit it. Oh, Summer, is yours asking what the teacher's question is?
For number 3, it says, please answer the teacher's question.
Oh, okay. That is, what questions do you have? And if you don't have any other questions, then you can just put none.
I'm sorry, what was the teacher's question?
It's what questions or what remaining questions do you have?
Got it, got it.
If you have any. In Socrative, you do have that option of adding what's the teacher's question or not. And I think when I launched the quiz, I accidentally turned it on. So I hadn't planned on doing that. So the teacher's question is, what remaining questions do you have? And I'll put that in the chat. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. And go ahead, you can go ahead and finish that and then submit it. And my email's here and my Twitter handle's here. So feel free to reach out if you have any other questions or want to talk about teaching in Zoom. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Summer.
Thank you all so much for being here, and especially thank you to Maritez for this blog and webinar and the whole series. I've learned so much from you. Like, I keep telling her, like, oh, I did this immediately in my class. So it's been super helpful for me personally, and I hope it's also been helpful for you all. As I mentioned, we're recording this, so this will be available if you'd like to share it with colleagues. Check out the other blogs if you haven't had a chance to do so. They all have very great practical tips that you can use tomorrow. So thanks again. And I will be sending out an email with a follow-up survey. If you can complete that, we'd appreciate it. I hope you have a great week and weekend, and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Fun. Thank you.